Farming is fundamental to sustaining the world's growing population, but world food systems account for some 31% of total human-induced greenhouse gas emissions. So what role can sustainable farming and new innovations play in improving our environment and building biodiversity? And how might insurance contribute towards this agricultural revolution? Here to discuss the future of sustainable farming and how this might impact the insurance industry is Mr. Frank Terhorst, Head of Crop Strategy and Portfolio Management within the Crop Science Division of Bayer AG. Frank, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
So the first question is, how would you define and describe the sustainable farming revolution? What are the main transformations being observed in the agriculture sector at the moment?
Well, sustainable farming responds to a major challenge we face. So how to feed a growing population while respecting the natural boundaries of our planet and our climate. So sustainable farming for us is all about new approaches that help us to produce more with less. So achieving better harvests using less water, less land, less energy, and with a smaller climate footprint. This would benefit farmers, consumers, society, and our planet after all. So how do we do this? And at the heart of our definition of sustainable farming is the digital and technological transformation of agriculture, with its focus not just on inputs and products, but on holistic agricultural solutions across the entire food value chain. New approaches that increase productivity and at the same time reduce greenhouse gas emissions, limit agriculture's impact on the environment and climate as well, to adapt and to fight climate change. So the access to data and knowledge is the key in all of this.
Right, and then where is the disruption really going to happen in sustainable farming, do you think?
Anthony, let me maybe just highlight three key technologies and developments that we see in the area of sustainable agriculture. First, digitalization of the farm and the farm operations, which is really central to most sustainable farming efforts. An example of such a digital tool is Bayer's FieldView application, which integrates the farmer's expertise with data from satellites, from field sensors, from irrigation systems, drones, and other sources to provide a detailed and real-time assessment of growing conditions and the crop health. So digitally supported information helps farmers to sustainably grow enough while using fewer and more targeted resources and inputs such as pesticides and fertilizers. Another key technology area and also priority for us is carbon farming, which is another area where digital tools play an important role as well. Agriculture is a major contributor to climate change, but it also has the potential to become part of the solution by storing carbon in the soil and therefore limiting carbon emissions. So for us, carbon farming is any activity on the farm that either reduces carbon emissions or sequesters or reuses carbon, as well as other greenhouse gases like methane. A third technology area is innovations in biotechnology. We now have the means to develop climate-smart plants that are more resilient to extreme weather and diseases, and more compatible with carbon farming techniques. This is especially pertinent as farmers experience more drought and extreme weather conditions all across the world. A good example is hybrid rice, a rice seed which can withstand extreme weather conditions and thrive in cases of too much water or too little water, and actually will help to drive yields, but at the same time also reduce the carbon footprint. The last example here from my perspective is short-statured corn, a type of corn that stands shorter, much steadier in a field, an innovation that really is at the basis of a new agronomic system and will make the whole crop more resilient. So these are just a few examples where new technology will help us to become more sustainable in agriculture.
And that's very interesting. And I think, with the corn, for example, you see in fields with the longer corn, you see them flattened out in places. And so I imagine that is supportive of more resilient corn. What are the opportunities and threats then of these different technologies?
Well, on the opportunities side, we clearly see that the digital transformation of agriculture will go hand in hand with more sustainable farm practices and has really the potential of more diverse offerings, of more complete tailored solutions to bring more benefit to farmers, but also help them to manage their risk in a better way. So a few examples are using data science. Farmers have better insights to exactly where and at what rate a seed product or a crop protection active ingredient should be applied. When farmers can make data-driven decisions in real time, they end up using more precise amounts of resources, including water, energy, fertilizers, but also pesticides. And using the right seed varieties in the right amount together with fertilizers, farmers will actually bring their yields closer to the maximum from every part of their field and not just thinking in averages. So reducing the need to use more land also globally. On the risk side, for me, this is more the lack of adoption and the lack of access to some of these new technologies that I think we will just need to drive and need to help farmers to get access to those. For me, one other really important segment actually, which fits here into this category, is the segment of smallholder farmers globally. Smallholders need to play an indispensable role in shaping a sustainable future in agriculture, but we need to give them access to these new tools, to the new expertise. So there is much to gain, we believe, from helping smallholders across the globe, but there's also much to lose if we fail to unlock their full potential.
Right. And then, so in our 2022 emerging risk, the Sonar report, we identify insurance as an enabler of faster adoption of these different technologies and farming practices. What role do you think insurance can play, and why is it important?
Yeah, it's really crucial because farmer incomes are highly volatile and vulnerable actually to environmental and market swings. And many farms do not have the appropriate tools to cope with extreme weather events and therefore also the financial consequences. So it's challenging for farmers to switch to new production methods, to adopt innovation without taking substantial risk. And this is where insurance comes in. Insurers can help to de-risk the transition to more sustainable farming and make investments more attractive in this space. So specifically, insurance products from our point of view for farmers can incentivize the uptake of innovation and more sustainable practices by covering potential yield or revenue loss during the transition period, protecting not only farmers, but also investors and produce buyers who work with farmers. So these mechanisms help spread the cost and risks of the transition across the entire value chain in a very fair and transparent manner. So insurers have really a critical role to play to make agriculture more sustainable.
Frank, thank you very much indeed for that fantastic sort of vignette on sort of crop strategy and crop science for the future. Thank you very much indeed. Mr. Frank Terhorst, Head of Crop Strategy and Portfolio Management within the Crop Science Division at Bayer AG. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Thanks, Anthony.